At long last, Hell's Paradise Episode 1 has officially aired. It is a series that I think everybody has been anxious to see ever since its announcement. I mean, one big reason for that is because obviously Studio Mappa has made quite the name for themselves, and any project that they pick up definitely gets a lot of attention. And so because of the studio associated with it, and the staff, etc., everybody's eyes were on Hell's Paradise, and the first episode's out. And so let's ask the question, was it good? Well, to be completely frank, it was. It was an incredible first episode in the visual department, to the voice acting department, music department, getting the point across to what to expect from the story. I legit think that this is just overall, to summarize, is a fantastic first episode to really get to know our main male character, and on top of that, the support characters, and the theme of what the objective is, at least for right now, the story is trying to do. And so let's just get all into the little details, the nitty-gritty, so to speak. So before I really dive into the actual plot that this episode was displaying, we need to talk about something that obviously a lot of people in the community, such as myself, have been talking about for a while. I made a video about a month ago, talking about how, this series, Hell's Paradise, probably is having some issues behind the scenes. Now, once again, I even said in those videos that, the series is going to look amazing. I talked about that. I was like, if there's one thing that Studio Mappa has proven time and time again, is that regardless of whatever issues or hurdles that they face, production issues, whatever, they usually get the product out, and they usually get a really amazing quality product out. Like, for instance, the visual department art style always looks amazing. And nobody, I think, unless you're trolling, can deny that. The staff that works at Studio Mappa that makes these scenes are truly incredible. They are incredible workers, incredible animators, and they all deserve individual praise for what they do. And I even said in my videos I made like a month ago and a few months back that, the series is probably going to look good, but it doesn't change the fact that there's probably underneath everything, there's probably a lot going on to how the trailers were done, etc. There's probably some issues that we just cannot see. It's an invisible issue, so to speak, that the common watcher will never kind of see. And so I just want to give shout outs to the actual animators for all the hard work and the effort that they're putting into this project, because this is legitimately an incredible first episode. And I think anyone that is obviously a fan of the original source, I'm an anime only, I'm just gonna do an FYI, but I feel like anyone that is a fan of the original source is probably like, this is amazing, and probably, or even saying to themselves, this is probably better than the original source, the manga. So with that little thing out of the way, let's actually talk about the first episode. Let's talk about, just the amount of love and passion that, once again, is put into this project. So, big detail I want to talk about is the opening song. I think the opening song, outright, beautiful. I think it's so far my favorite opening song. Now, to be fair, I have not listened to a lot of opening songs this season. There's only a handful of anime I've watched this anime season, because obviously this season is just beginning, but at least from what I've heard so far, this opening song, visual-wise, is great. I like the lyrics. I'm not the, if you would have talked to me about, a year or two ago about the lyrics of this song, I might not have been a big fan of it, but the more I've listened to this opening song on repeat, and when I saw the visuals with it, it really matches and fits, and I think it's a really good, opening. It has a really fitting tone to what the series is trying to present. So I have to say, at least so far, this is my favorite opening of the season. But obviously, that's not going too far, because obviously, the season just began. But anyways, yeah, visual-wise, I really just like how they use the flowers to, the butterflies, to the particle effects, and I noticed a lot about when it comes to Hell's Paradise, there's a lot of flowers within this story. We had a whole, background information to, this paradise, basically what's considered heaven, and we can assume this heaven is actually hell, because obviously the title's called Hell's Paradise, and you see these flowers, this beautiful environment, and I just want to say how striking the visual department is of these moments, because it's when you're watching this episode, it's very dark looking, it's very, gloomy, etc., when you're watching these, scenes. You could just see the color palette is supposed to be, in a very, dark setting. But then when you get to, the overall fantasy element, or at least, this paradise they're talking about, just the colors are vibrant, beautiful, pop out, and I do like the contrast to that, and I think that this is where, Hell's Paradise's anime is really going to shine, is that contrast between, like, the living regular world and then this other world that is, known as paradise or heaven or hell, technically, by the title. So yeah, just, I wanted to talk about that. I really do appreciate the contrast with the visual department of how this is displayed to the audience. Now, the actual plot of the story follows our main male character, which is someone that, at first glance, his appearances, etc., the way he's presented to the audience, he is a very edgy character. That is the real easiest way to summarize him. He's an edgy character that seems to be like someone that doesn't care about anything. Like, at least the episode tries to present that. It tries to present that he is someone that, doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about life. He doesn't care about his own life. He's just a hollow existence. He literally has a name called Hollow because of just how his overall personality is, or how people have perceived him throughout his journey in life. However, as the story ramps up and, the episode, gives us more details to his character, and we find out about his wife, he does have a soul. He does have someone that has feelings, and the person that kind of changed him was his wife. And instantly, when you see this moment, like when you actually see what's going on here, you're probably going to think to yourself, oh no, did she die? Because that is a typical theme, a typical story beat or element where a main male or female character loses their loved one, family member, whatever, and then they go down a dark path, they become very edgy, and then, they don't care about anything anymore, and eventually they're able to gain that back because they meet more people on their journey. That's a typical traditional story theme. I think everybody's probably seen that one day, or like one time or another, like we've seen that. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just, it's a typical theme. So when I saw the wife character, I was like, oh, is she dead? She isn't, actually. Surprisingly enough, she is alive, and the only reason why the main character acts like he does is because he was changed by her, and he realizes he was changing, like he was gaining heart, a compassion, feeling emotion towards someone. And obviously, as he continued to do his path, like being a shinobi and, doing things for, like, his higher-ups, he realized that he wasn't living an ordinary life, and she wasn't living an ordinary life, and he wanted an ordinary life for his wife. And so he basically, questioned his leader, like, hey, can I leave with your daughter, and can we have an ordinary life? And obviously, the father is not necessarily a good dude. He, basically is the one that kind of put the marking, to my understanding, on the daughter's face, like the scar mark, to also is the one that, put him up to being killed in this episode, which we know that one 100%. So, just everything about the way this episode's presented shows the dad is not a good dude by any means, but the main character wanted an ordinary life, but he could not get it. That was what his objective was. And so, the overarching theme of what this show is trying to present to us is that the MC obviously is incredibly gifted, he's very powerful, he's a shinobi, knows ninjutsu, but his goal is to go to this paradise, aka probably hell, and he's supposed to, like, gain this elixir of life, aka, like, the, Philosopher's Stone, the Fountain of Youth, that typical traditional theme, and give it to the Shogun and all that. And so, if he's able to get this elixir and give it to the Shogun, he's able to be pardoned for everything, and he's able to live an ordinary life with his wife. So, that's an interesting objective. It's standard, but I do like the way it is presented within the first episode. I like that. I like that he wants to be normal. Obviously, he's not going to probably get that chance because of what is going on. I just think that overall, the way the episode is presented, it definitely wanted you to understand the character's psyche and who he is as an individual. And obviously, with first episodes, you're not going to get answers to everything that you want. You're not going to get every character with characterization and development. I think that with the overall runtime of the episode, within these, like, brief 20-something minutes, they did a good job with really just presenting the character and presenting what he's fighting for, presenting what his goal is, and what to expect from the story. I think that this is a solid first episode. My impressions of this series is very, very positive. I especially love the way the fire effect is done in this show. Once again, like I said, the contrast of, like, the very darker tones to the very vibrant and light tones that you see, especially with the fire. I think that is a really nice little addition that, the staff is doing to this show. Big shout-outs to that. I don't know. I really always like those designs, like the clashing of the colors and stuff, and it clearly does very well with Hell's Paradise Episode 1. Now, anyways, getting a little bit deeper into this series and kind of what else is happening here, I think that if there's one thing that needs to be shouted out is the voice acting. I think the voice acting of the show is very subtle, but it hits the proper notes to try to tell a very mature story. Because the very vibe I get from Hell's Paradise as an anime only is that it's wanting to be in a very mature, ancient Japan-like setting, obviously, because the setting, but they want you to feel like these characters are more grown up. They're not necessarily kids, they're not young, they are adults that are, veterans or seasoned by combat in war. They've seen a lot of stuff, and I like the tone of the VAs, because I think the VAs are doing a great job with really kind of meshing with the tone and making me feel very immersed with what this series is trying to convey to me, and what emotion, technically, I should be feeling. Now, anyways, another thing I do want to kind of tack on before I kind of wrap up the video, I do think that the series overall, in terms of just what it provided to me as a watcher, I'm excited to see where it's going to go next. I think that this is incredibly solid. I do think that, this series has always been a fan favorite. A lot of people have really recommended the series for years now to me to read, etc., because it's good. That's what I've been told, and I believe it's a completed story already, so since it's already a completed story, I think Hell's Paradise might complete the entirety of the manga. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Don't quote me on that. But, I think it's possible. I think. So, the fact that, it's a completed story means that when the anime wraps up, it's probably going to cover all the content, which is nice, because that means that we're probably not going to be waiting too long for a continuation if there is supposed to be a season 2 or something, because the content technically is already done and finished. We won't have to worry about it catching up with the manga. So yeah, overall, positive. I like the series. Definitely, one of my personal favorites from the season so far. I mean, I was hella looking forward to it. I'm glad to see it turned out very well, and the worries I had for the visual department turned out to not be so bad, especially with how I was worrying about a month ago. Good show. Very good show. Can't wait to watch episode 2. So I want to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you all enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.